What up, peeps? So, what kind of life should we be living? It's a question, I guess. I tried to start this video a minute ago and I got a few minutes in and just said, no, no, no. That's not where I wanted to go with it. I was rambling about being at work because I just finished my work day. I'm in the customer's home. He's in California and I'm waiting out traffic because it's like an hour each way to and from work. And so what I do, I'm a carpenter. So I basically right now I'm a remodel carpenter. Before this, I was working on tiny homes. And before that, I was a kratom vendor for a while. I had many different paths. And I don't like to consider myself what I do for a living. So if somebody says, what do you do? I'm like, well, I think a lot. It's not about what I do for money. However, you do spend a third of your life at that place. And in my case, 25%, 20 to 25% of that is spent on the road. And it's unfortunate because when I was doing tiny homes, it'd be like 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes to work, and sometimes a half an hour if traffic was bad getting home. And that sucked too. But this isn't about traffic, but rather about where we are in our lives and how it serves us. And whether or not, because I've tried to talk about this before and I can't seem to get the words out because I have this idea in my brain and it's one of those things that you just can't convey in words very well. But I'll try. I've learned many different, let's say, life lessons about how to be successful, how to be happy, right? Not learned, but rather heard many different people's opinions on these topics. And the two extreme views that I'm working out right here. Okay, this is the main crux of this discussion, I guess. I don't even know if crux is the right word. So you've got on one side many sages, prophets, Buddhists, whoever it might be, saying, people who want to live a simple life and do live a simple life and will tell you to be happy, you have to let go. I mean, Buddhism, I've always been fascinated and non-attachment is one of the main principles. So non-attachment is complicated because it's not just about you can be attached to non-attachment. In other words, become so obsessed with Buddhist principles that you're attached to those ideas. So it's kind of like, it's a cycle of, realization, I'm still doing this. What we want to do is just be able to live our lives and feel instinctually how we should operate and act in order to lead a life that's conducive to the way that we and people around us want to live. So what I'm wrestling with is, one side of me says, be humble, make enough to survive, don't buy anything extravagant, just live a modest life. And then another part of me says, celebrate being a human. You're here on this earth. If you can make millions of dollars, do it and enjoy it and spend it wisely and get things that you enjoy. It's okay to buy a sports car, right? It's okay to buy a motorcycle or buy whatever it is, stereo system. I'm pretty frugal. I always have been, and I don't like buying expensive things. I pride myself more. I will brag not about the things that I have, but the things that I've saved money on, right? Which I don't know if that's healthy or not. I don't know if that's really the best life for me because I'm a smart guy. I could continue to just be a carpenter working for other people, or, I started my business at one point because it's what I love to do, but I did work for myself for quite a while, and it just wasn't as enjoyable as being able to just show up, do my job, and go home. Because there's a lot involved in being a contractor. You have to, I had a partnership with a friend, and we had a falling out because he owed money, and we didn't work well together. So I started another business under just my name, and then it was me going out, talking to customers, doing the bids, doing the paperwork, sketching out the stuff, and having them be like, no, I'm going to go with the cheaper guy. So if you work, whether you work for somebody else or for yourself, you're wrestling with all kinds of issues. But if you're doing actual work, labor, it doesn't pay that well. Yeah, you can get pretty good money as a handyman or a carpenter. But what I'm getting at is you're never going to get rich. You're never going to be a millionaire working for somebody else or working a job. And I know this. If you want to make good money, you have to either make investments in things that have yield returns, or B, you have to sell or design a product or work with people who do a product or service that makes a lot of money. it's unfortunate that most people who get rich do so off of, not all people, but it's usually at the loss of others who are paying too much. Like my question has always been, what are people worth? Like, what is a decent wage for a CEO of a company that sells a product? It depends. Are they, respectful and responsible as a company? Do they run other companies out of business? Do they hold a monopoly over the market? All these questions that have to be asked before you can assess whether or not a company is like a good company, I guess. But whether the people deserve that kind of money is not for me to say. But there's part of me that says if you make millions of dollars every year, somebody's losing out. And judging the only way, and I cannot confirm this at all, of course. All I can do is look at the money supply, inflation, how, the money that's printed, as well as how the average person is doing. So, for example, the average person is actually doing better in some ways than we were in the past. But at the same time, we're doing worse. Everything is a subscription service. You don't own anything anymore. It's like we're living in just kind of this day-to-day society. And I want to create something in my life that has longevity. And that's the next part here. Regardless of whether you're rich or poor, you live modest or, act like a fool and spend a bunch of money. Everybody, at least I would say not everybody, most people, and especially men, because I know this is more of a man thing, they want to leave a legacy. They want to leave something behind. I'm very fortunate. Whenever I say that and I talk to my friends about things like that, somebody will always say, well, you've got kids, dude. You've done fine. And it's true. I am very grateful because I have 3 boys. They're awesome. And they will carry my memory. And that means a lot to me. But I'm not obviously going to build a pyramid or anything to commemorate myself because that's ridiculous. I don't know. If you guys want to help, maybe we could do it. I don't know. Just let me know. Yeah, I could start a crowdfunding thing and we could get out there and get our hands dirty and build a pyramid. But no, really, when I say a legacy, think of it like Terence McKenna, for example. Just popped into my head. He was a psychonaut or psychedelic explorer, and he had a lot to contribute to discussions. And what he left behind as a legacy was ideas. And those ideas, I want to see it look like, no, thought somebody was here. Nobody's supposed to be here. This is the talking about success, actually. The house I'm in right now, it's not that large. I'd say, well, I did a little add on and built for the garage part. So it's like maybe 2,000 square feet, 1,800 square feet. It's a single level, not much to it. You see back there, there's 3 bedrooms back there, office over here, and we're remodeling all of this right now. This whole kitchen, right? It was, when he bought the house, this kitchen was completely remodeled already. He didn't like it, so he had us, before I started, the other guy tear it all out and then do a whole different backdrop. It was like these tile bricks and everything. Once that was complete, he didn't like it. And he had the dude tear it out again. It wasn't our fault. He just decided that he didn't like it anymore. And then we did this. This is what he ended up wanting. Nice marble countertops and everything. Back down there, there's a sauna and another bathroom and like an exercise room. He is about my age. He worked for Intel, I guess, for 30 years. Apparently, he sold a house in California, 10,000 square foot house down in LA, and made millions off of it. And then moved back up here and bought this little house under 2,000 square feet. And he wants it the way he wants it. So all the trim, the molding was all brand new and remodeled, tore it out. These 2 giant windows over here, those 2 windows, they're like 6 feet by 6 feet. And they have a door between them. We tore out 2 identical windows that were actually white, and he wanted black ones instead. So we tore out the white ones. They're sitting out on the side as garbage. It's wasteful. I'm not gonna deny, but I get it that a person, this is one of those things I wrestle with, because personally I couldn't do it, but I don't fault people for doing what they want to do. There's already going to be a lot of waste. When we're long gone, this planet will recover just fine without us. But at the same time, I guess it's because I know how many people are suffering and don't have any money, and to just be able to spend money like that must be an awesome feeling, regardless of how we feel about how they spend it. I mean, to be able to buy a remodeled house and then remodel it and then remodel it, right? The kitchen. So it's a beautiful place, and it makes me think, well, God, if I had a bunch of money, would I be happier? He's a bachelor, of course, but here's the funny part of the discussion. And I was talking with him the other day, and he told me, because he has a lot of carpentry tools as well in his garage, and he's like, yeah, I really like it when I get to build stuff. He did all his own electrical and everything in here, and he's built a bunch of stuff. He's handy. He's got all the good tools. And he said, I said, yeah, I don't remember if we were talking about wage or what, but I was like, I just said, I love what I do, basically. And that's why I keep coming back to carpentry. Even though I've messed my back up and had problems in the past, I just keep coming back to it because I love doing this kind of work. And he said, yeah, I made so much money working for these, doing this software or whatever it was. And he said, we're working on a product right now. It's not even going to come out until like 2029. And he's like, and by then it probably won't even matter anyway. He's like, I sometimes wish, basically he was insinuating, he said, I wish I could do this sometimes. Just be able to, he's like, it must be awesome to be able to walk away at the end of a job and have something completed that you can look at and physically live with. And he got it. He understood it. But he really confirmed something that I've always known to be true, that even if I'm seeking to make a bunch of money, it won't make me happy if I'm not working towards something that's important and building something that's important. My attention to detail and the things that I do, the way that I do my work, it's meticulous. Okay, I want to be a master carpenter. I will deal with wood and warpage and sanding and make sure that everything is just perfect, because that's the client I'm working for. And he wants that. And I'm glad. A lot of dudes would just get frustrated as hell, but for me, it's a passion. I like to work with wood, even doing caulking and filling holes and stuff like that. I want to make seamless. This was before I started the video. I was thinking that what I do is try to make things look seamless. Finished carpentry is about getting rid of those gaps and making sure that the lines are even. And it's not quite as simple as just throwing a bunch of trim up. Anybody who's tried it knows it takes a lot of effort to do fine woodworking without destroying a bunch of material in the process. So maybe I am where I should be because I'm doing what I love, but I don't know. And I'm just going to continue wrestling with that one, because when you work a full-time job, you don't really have the mental fortitude to go out on the weekends and push through. That's another thing. People say, well, you just got to work hard, grind, work 7 days a week. But should you? I mean, I also hear people say that, they did the grind, they made a bunch of money, but then they missed their kids growing up or something. The people who worked for like 20 years at a job, the whole time their kids were growing up and they were only home for like an hour a day or an hour a week maybe because they were traveling, whatever it might be. You do what you got to do to make money, but your life, it's fucking precious, man. I mean, the time that I have, my time to think, to just sit and think sometimes, it's essential. I'd go crazy without it. So it's not just about what you have or quality of life with the physical items you have, but your quality of mental life. And the way that we can learn to train our brains to think positively about the environment that we have, to be grateful for what we have. I've even learned to love traffic. Okay, I don't love it, but I tolerate it because I say everybody else is on the same path. We're all just working together. This is just how the system operates. If you want a job where you're making half as much, you could work closer to home, but you got to do what you got to do. And that's hard for me sometimes because the part of me is a steak and taters guy that wants to live out in a cabin somewhere. Sure, I love the modern amenities that we have, of course. I'd get bored as hell if I had nothing. I don't want to live in a, no electricity cabin, but I'm talking like away from, the chaos. But I learned long ago that you cannot escape it. There's no escape from, if you want a place that's on land, like I do for a reason, that's different than trying to escape. You can't escape yourself. And that's usually what we're trying to do, to get away from the self that, we don't want to question, whether it be the one who screws people over to make money or the one that screws himself over by not making money, by not working hard enough. We have a huge divide in society. We got people that work, 16-hour days, and then we've got people that won't work for a minute. They just stand with a sign. Depends on, your level of motivation. And I guess I'm always questioning mine. I also have a wife and kids. And my wife, we want to get a cabin. She wants to get a cabin, not a cabin, but a house with some land that's somewhere out of the main city area. Because I know that for my mental's, sake, for keeping a positive attitude, waking up in the morning, being able to see, the sunrise over an orchard or something would, it just changes the whole tone of the day. But I still want to live close enough to be able to get to Costco. I mean, I'm a city boy or suburb boy, so it is what it is. But I like modern amenities, and I'm grateful for the things we have. And I think that's part of the problem, because it gives us too much comfort. We become too passive because we don't have to fight for anything anymore. And sometimes it's good to light a little fire under our own asses and fight for something. I'm still figuring out how to do that. So, guess that's my rant for the day. I'm going to head out now, get into traffic, and fight my way home. I wish you all a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.